Good evening. Welcome to another podcast with We All Fit.
Good evening, guys. Welcome back. It's been 2 weeks now.
Yeah, we took a break last week. Yeah.
Yeah, that should have gave you enough time to work on your meditation, and I hope you attempted to fail. Right? I'm not saying you should have failed. I said attempt to. Right? Because without attempt, there's no success. Right? Anyways.
Great. So one of the questions I'm going to ask you, and you touch on meditation, is what makes it so difficult to stay faithful to meditating constantly?
As in to go back to meditate.
Yeah.
Well, personally don't think that it's hard to stay faithful to meditation. It's more like it's a habit, so the more you indulge in anything, the more of a habit you create out of it. Like gives you smoking if you want. Smoking is a habit. Anyone that smokes, you would tell me you are crazy. I can't quit. Smoking is a habit, like everything else, That's why it takes a little bit to create a habit, and it also takes a little bit to get out of that habit, because it's like a new program that you installed. And like any program that you install in your computer, it takes time to get rid of. The easiest way to get rid of a program, you just install the program that is contrary and opposite to the program, right? So if I indulge in negativity, the easiest way for me to stop thinking about that, it would be trying to install the positivity into my life, So if I would say it's hard for me to go back to meditate because I also believe it, and even if I say it to someone that it's not hard for the person. So you say to me it's hard for me to go meditate, and I say to you, no, it's not. And then you will say, oh, but you don't know how it is. And I'm like, yeah, but I do, because I meditate, so I'm always back there. It's more like having consistency into it. Also, we as humans, meditation is just prayer. It's just prayer. This is how prayer should have been from the beginning, It's just that throughout time, the information has been lost or manipulated or confused. And from meditation, we end up being in our knees, So being in your knees is very submissive, but that's how, I don't know who came up with the idea, maybe the authorities, maybe the priest, whoever came with the idea with the submission, for us to be submissive to their power, or to whatever other reason that they came up with it, or maybe they misunderstood the idea of prayer. But basically meditation is prayer. And it also, like, if most of us we tend to pray, and then after we got what we prayed for, we are unfaithful to continue to pray again, and then also later on, same person, you will come back to the person that suggested or came or explained or shown the meditation, and they would say, to argue for the fact, because they find it challenging or hard to meditate, they would even blame the person that it doesn't even work.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You get it?
Oh,
yeah. So sometimes it's hard even for yourself to restrain to say, oh, this is this and that. It doesn't even work. I don't know where you came up with it.
I've been doing it for 10 whole days now and nothing's happening.
Yeah. And also you do it, then you get what you answer, you get what you prayed for, and then you're happy. And then later on, when you're facing another difficult situation, It's like, oh, this doesn't even work. Hey, but you didn't even pray, you didn't even meditate. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much my personal answer to you. It's not it's not meditation that is difficult. It's just that if you probably found excuses with everything in your life, you would find excuses with this either. And I'm not you're not saying that it doesn't work. It's just you're saying that you are finding it difficult to set time to go back to meditation. But you also have to keep in mind that meditation, you're actually meditating right now. So in your mind, like you're listening to what I'm saying, either your thoughts are completely relaxed and you're actually internalizing what I'm saying, or your thoughts are going behind the scene and saying, oh, but this is this or this is that, So you are meditating, because at the end of the day is to sit down and hear the inner self speaking, and then later on you kind of change it, but not by pressuring him to change it. It's just by suggestion, and then by doing that it becomes more easier to actually do change and grow as a person. Okay.
Okay, and what would you say to someone who, like you said, meditation is a prayer?
Right.
What would you say to someone who's constantly working hard physically?
Yeah.
And saying, you know what, if I don't work hard physically all day, I can't meditate, because without me working hard, what I want will never come to pass.
Okay, so first of all, let's because there's quite a few questions there. They need a few subjects that need touching. First of all, most of us work hard physically, as in objectively, because it's a program that we got from our parents or from whoever society that we grew up in. And we believe that if we don't work hard physically, we would not get money to eat. We would not survive. Right. This is what I'm saying first, but it should be second. First should be, but I didn't want to break your spirits, like, or shake your spirits, I should say. You work hard because you have no faith. Yeah. Not you, but everyone works. And I was there as well. We work physically hard, as in objectively hard, because we stopped believing in the power of the universe, God, the ultimate energy, if you want it, in the breath of life. We stopped believing in it. So we believe that everything that is done on this plane, it has to be done objectively. So I will have to labor every day physically to get millions, or to get my pay, But if you look around the world, there's millions like us that do the same thing and they're not rich, They're constantly worrying and they're constantly thinking, how am I gonna get it? And they work super hard, and they also look online, and the best thing that they can find online is promises and expensive courses that they need to take to change their way of lives, and they never work. And the reason is because we don't subjectively believe in ourselves first. We don't have faith. It doesn't necessarily, even if you don't believe in God, you should believe in yourself. You should have confidence in oneself. And then if you don't believe in God and you have confidence and you believe in yourself, then you're lying, because you're not atheist if you believe in yourself. So you have belief, you have belief and you have faith. So there you go. The formula is there. You're saying that you're atheist, but you're not, because you believe. You have belief and you have faith, and also God lives within you. And then if you can try and prove me wrong, but then you can't.
The fact you're here is proof enough, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm not saying that there's a God in the sky. I'm not saying that. And I don't believe it either. But let's go back to what we were saying. So working subjectively hard and then planning to have meditation later is setting yourself to fail a little bit. I recommend meditate first and then work subjectively. And you would probably say, yeah, if you do that, that's the formula to fail. But let me tell you this, when you go to a barber and you explain to him how you want your hair cut, isn't it first subjectively and then objectively? And you tell him to cut my hair this way. He first imagine how you want your hair and then he starts doing it, right? So everything is subjective first and then objective later. Right? Also, when you go and do your clothes, right, and you ask the man to do a suit for you, he also thinks about it. He takes the measurements and then he thinks about what you want, or you tell him what you imagine that suit first in your mind, how you want it to look, and then you explain to him. So first, everything is image, is subjective, and then objective. Even when you sit down and you work so hard, you first think subjective. You say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And then you start doing it. So if all this is proof, like this is just basic, like small proof, we can get bigger proof if we want to. But for us, because all of us, we are common people, you know, we're not using big words. We're not asking you for your PhDs and everything. So all I'm saying is, why don't you try it? Why don't you try it? Try in the morning. 5 to 15 minutes should be good. And then in the evening. In the morning, you just visualize how you want your day to be. You visualize the work that you're going to do. You're basically visualizing yourself at the end of the day. So you sit down in the morning and you see yourself, I need to do this work, need to do this work. So you see it done and the way you had to do it, you know? And then at the end of the day, you're just being grateful for everything you've done. And if anything didn't work the way you did, the way you've seen it in the morning, there's no reason to say, undoubtedly say there is no the reality in prayer. Because listen to me, what happens to you today, you imagine it yesterday, right? So today's thoughts is tomorrow's fruits, you know, it's tomorrow's, so today's seeds is tomorrow's fruits or whatever you're planting. So be careful what you're planting, you know, basically. Did I miss anything?
No, that all makes perfect sense. So we're surrounded by a world, like I've signed up to a few courses, I've tried different ventures in my own personal life, and everybody comes on and tells you, if you don't dedicate at least 90 hours a week to this, it's not going to work. You know, what would you say to people that are actually out there only sleeping 4 hours a day and the other hours they're on the phone or on the computer working so hard just to make something work? Is it going to work by working that way?
I wouldn't say anything to them, but they have to see for themselves, you know. Some of them might succeed, some of them might not succeed. The thing is, whatever you believe to be true and real unto yourself, it would be true and real unto yourself, you know. And I think there's a paragraph similar in the Bible, you know. If you believe there's something unclean unto you, then that it will be unclean unto you. So basically, what you need to understand is fix your mind on what you want. Believe it in existence, you know. Believe it that you have it. Don't believe that you struggle to get it. Believe that it was actually quite easy and you never ever you never thought that it would be so easy. You actually feel ashamed for not trying meditation before, you know. So it's not, see, I'm taking it a little bit, the meditation, the prayer, I'm taking it a little bit higher than what you commonly used or used to hearing about meditation. Meditation said just calm your mind, just relaxation and everything. But after all of this, you actually can create a lot of things. Put in creation and take it out of creation. Which you probably say, oh no, that's too much. It's hard to believe. But why don't you try it? Why don't you try it? I wouldn't say anything to the people outside there. Don't do this, don't do that. I would just encourage them to try what I'm saying, because if you take the responsibility onto saying to anyone, most of us are like, if I say onto anyone, hey, you don't need to do this, like I could say, you don't need to keep 2 meters distance from me. I'm perfectly fine. But if he in his mind he believes that if he breaks that 2 meter rule he will get sick, then he will get sick. So saying to someone is not really saying, it's just suggestion. So by suggestion I'm telling you the reality, and then you can either accept it or not. So basically, if you accept it, I'm saying do a little bit of research and see if I'm right, and then put it into plan.
I'm going to touch on something you said about believing something. So we, as individuals, as mankind, have the power to believe something and make it a reality in our perception of what life is like.
Yeah, we do. Yes, we do. Well, first of all, let me give you an example of believing. You believe when you wake up in the morning that you are Daniel. You'll be like, no. You're kind of a bit confused. You want to say no, and then at the same time, you don't know what to say. So basically, you do believe that you are Daniel. The same way as the story with the mustard seed. They in the Bible it says that if you have faith as much as a grain of mustard seed, then you would achieve anything in the world. And then we think that if you have that amount of small faith about in our lives, we will achieve everything or anything, and then we fail. Because what is actually meant by that is the mustard seed knows that it is a mustard seed, and then it's not an olive. And every time you put it onto the ground, it will come out as a mustard seed. That could be as potato or anything else. So if you go to sleep this evening and you know that you're gonna wake up in the morning as Daniel, right? And you go to sleep. If you go to sleep thinking, I'm just giving you an example now, I'm going to take you a little bit further down in depth in the mind. Before you go to sleep, you know where you've been all day, and you go to sleep for where you lived all day, which means you believe that by working hard, objectively, you're going to make it in the world. And then you go to sleep like that, and you wake up in the morning and you have to redo the thing again and again and again. But if you would go to sleep and say, I am successful, and you will wake up the next day and you won't feel anything different. By continuing this, eventually you will wake up in such an abundance. First, you'll probably start as you feeling a lot more happier, a lot more secure, and then you will see abundance as in physical. But we also have to understand that maybe willingly or unwillingly, we define our abundance in the mind, right? So even though you think you think I'm giving you this advice, and then you put it into plan, and then you don't achieve what you want, you also have to find and understand, what do you define and believe by abundance, right? Because your abundance might just be £1,000 a month, and someone else's abundance might be £1,000 an hour. So you have to really sit down with yourself and know who you are and find out what you really want. Like, very important, because that's why you start meditation with the first few steps. You don't just jump to the end. That will create a lot of confusion in the brain. But basically, you really have to find out what you really want, because you might be running after money all your life, but then your abundance is to get wisdom or understanding or whatever. So really have to define what you really want. And then when you really want it, that's what you want, it will come to you.
What question would you ask our audience today for them to ask themselves based on everything we've spoken about today?
What do you do to change the house that you live in? And I don't mean physically, the house that you live in mentally, right? What do you do? What's your excuse? What's your daily excuse? Ask yourself, why do you give yourself that excuse? Why is everyone around you stupid, right? Why is everyone around you off, these people, right? Why is it that it's always the world's fault and never yours? Ask yourself this question. It's very important. Ask yourself why is there a pattern everything where I go? If you can observe the pattern, if you're not there yet, then it will take you a little bit of time to understand what I'm actually talking about. But whenever you do something throughout your day, you have a routine, right? And you would see things repeating over and over. You have to ask yourself, why is that? Why is that? Why is those things repeating? Why is it that you always lack the courage to start everything or anything in your life? Why is it every time you say I'm gonna start buying fruits, veg more often, you always end up bringing home meat and so on and so on. You have to ask all of these questions, and ask yourself who you really are. Who am I? Very important to know who you are. And then there's plenty of questions you should be asking. Don't ask yourself what's the meaning of life. The meaning of life is just to enjoy it. Enjoy life. Life is beautiful. Don't make it hard. Don't make it hard. But I will ask you a question. What are you gonna do different after today?
I think personally I need to meditate, not just once every 2 weeks and then feel good for 3 days and then go back down the slippery slope, actually see it as a paramount part of my life as opposed to just an add-on. And working physically hard, it's draining. It's very draining.
Well, I've noticed every time that I get really drained, I just go sit down and I meditate, and all of a sudden, boom, I'm just alive. And you probably say, but it's only in my mind. Well, of course, it's only in my mind.
Everything is there.
Everything
right?
is in my mind and your minds, and we all connected collectively, But we also are connected with ourselves and with the universal mind. So, if I train 3 hours in the morning and then I eat a little bit, actually drink a little bit of apple juice, and then I'm ready to go again later on after meditate, train again, that doesn't mean that I'm different than you guys. It just means that I have that belief, and belief is if you do meditate, meditation is medication, right? And first person that said that is actually also, I didn't say it, so I'm just actually using what he said. So meditation is medication. So whenever you are sick, and when you mean sick is not just physical, because whatever is physical is actually started within, right? So within, so without, that's when it starts. Also, instead of planning of starting meditation tomorrow. Just believe that you already started. Now that I started, it's so much easier, And once you start, don't stop, because that's the trick here. Once you start, don't stop, because every time you stop, it's just, once you put things into motion, it's easier to keep them in motion. But once you stop them, it's harder to put them in motion again.
I find in my own personal experience as well, I'm quite easily persuaded by my habitual excuses.
Yeah, well, it's always the other side that wins, It's always that side, but you don't need to meditate.
You did it yesterday.
You've done it, yeah, we're fine, yeah. It's not a problem, We can always come back and blame the person that came up with this idea.
Yeah.
It's that person's fault that introduced you to this. We was fine before the person came into our lives.
We like being miserable.
Yeah. it's an addiction like everything else. It's an addiction, you know.
It's true.
You know,
Yeah.
it's easy to blame others than to blame yourself, you know. And when I say blame, it's easy to to blame others than to take responsibility. That everything that happens in your life is because with you within the mind, you're not living on the happy street, on the sunny street. You're living on the rain side of the road, you know. You're like always rah, 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 instead of, you know what, it's beautiful, it's amazing. We forgot why we're here. We forgot. We did forget because we are under amnesia, but that doesn't mean that we should stay forgetful. You know, we should always and constantly. We have the right to remind ourselves, and then if you give the right of doing that, then you can't be upset by that someone else is in control and he leads you and he guides you by his own rules. You can't take offense of that. You know, you know you have the option to take control over your life, and if you have the option and you're not taking it and you're giving it to someone else, then you can't complain. You cannot. You shouldn't complain. You know, what you should do, take control over your life by meditating, and by meditating you will learn more and more and more, and once you learn more and more, I am sure you're going to get in contact with us, because you will see new things in your world, and then you will need help to change and reattach things in your world. But yeah.
But that was just a little insight of, you know, especially in my own life. I can honestly say when I do meditate, anything is possible for me. And anything goes the way I want it to go. When I don't, it's not pretty.
if you have, I'll give you an example. If any of you have kids, it's pretty much like this. If you don't feed your kid, he's gonna cry, right? And he will cry until you feed him. Meditation is the same way, right? But also, the first thing is, when you start meditating, you're actually killing the negativity, right? And now negativity will do anything possible to stop you, right? Because once you meditate for a certain amount of time, you will move on onto positive, and you'll have more inner strength and more inner power to see through that darkness, right? It's the light you see in the sun at the end, right? So negative side of you will do anything in power to put a stop to that, right? So now what you're doing, you're actually killing the negative baby, right? And you're feeding the positive baby, right? Well, it's a bit crazy what I'm saying, but the illusion here is by working towards your positive side, you will see a change in your inner peace, inside, because everything starts from here. If you wake up in the morning and you're miserable, everything in that day will be like that. And you can't blame it on anyone. You will blame it, don't get me wrong, but you shouldn't, because it's nobody's fault. It's your own inner perception, right? So I hope you guys are making a big use out of this. Apply it in your life, and don't forget to stay happy.
Thanks, Mihai, for joining us tonight. It's lovely to be here with you. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Feel free to contact us if you want to know a little bit more about meditation for the unique you, okay? We can help you to tailor it. We can help to support you throughout your journey. Thanks for being a part of the journey.
We all fit, all right? We all fit in this journey. Come.
Take care.
All the best.